Hey, Jenny. Good morning. Thanks for joining me today. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I
Good.
always love chatting to you.
Yeah, I'm excited about this member spotlight because Jenny and I have been talking back and forth for a couple of weeks now about what it means to be salesy and whether or not it's okay to pitch your services. And so I'm really painting her into a corner here, and I'm going to ask her to give us her best 60-second pitch for who she is and what she does. And she's reluctantly agreed to do that for me. So take it away, Jenny.
Well, thank you. Okay, so basically, I work with people who are in the habit of thinking that they don't have a choice when it comes to making changes. So that what they're really saying is it's a story in their heads, and it's just a story. And I help them change the story by nudging them out of their own way and out of their comfort zone.
Okay. See, you did that in 12 seconds. That was phenomenal.
My family would be so happy if I could say everything in 12 seconds.
Yeah. And I can testify. I've had conversations with Jenny, who, whether you like it or not, she's going to ask those hard questions that really kind of make you look at things differently. I think you have a natural talent for that. Um, but as an entrepreneur, I think there's real value in those type of questions, and we'll get into that a little bit deeper here in a second. So let's move on to our next little section here. I'm going to ask Jenny 3 questions, all of which were provided by Jenny, but the idea here is to really just let's dig in a little bit deeper on getting to know you better. So the first question here is, what's the reason that you became a coach?
When I discovered there was a way, Andrew, that I could help and support other people without telling them what to do, because nobody wants to be told what to do, I had to try and figure out a way that that could be a job for me, because I'm very passionate about people and I love supporting people. So being coached personally actually changed my life. Learning how to communicate my needs in a very calm way, it truly helped me feel empowered. So once I had that experience myself, I decided to go ahead and get certified so that I could help others stretch and grow.
Okay, so you're wanting to be able to tell others what to do without telling them what to do. Is that kind of
No, in my habit of people pleasing in the past was I would assume everybody needed my help. So when somebody would come with a problem, I'd be like, oh, you know what you should do? Nobody wants to hear that because that builds resentment on both sides. So for me, I would invest so much time and effort into solving this problem, which, by the way, I probably wasn't asked to solve. This person may have just been venting.
mm,
And I would feel resentful because they wouldn't follow through in the way that I suggested. But they would feel resentful too, because all they were doing, like I say, was venting. And what I'm really saying to somebody when I'm telling them what to do is, I don't believe you can do this on your own. So I'm going to have to come in and fix it for you, which of course was not my intention. So realizing that it's not my place and I don't have the power to fix anybody, because nobody's broken, nobody needs any fixing. What I do now as a coach is I identify what the obstacle is. More often than not, it's the person. It's not exterior circumstances, it's the person. It's whatever story they're telling themselves in their head. And together, we create manageable, doable action steps so that they can follow through in a way that they have never been able to do before. So it's not about telling anybody what to do.
nice. All right, cool. That was a trick question, and you passed with flying colors. So
Do I get a badge?
maybe we'll see. We'll wait till the end. You'll find out. All right, good deal. So this is interesting, though, in all seriousness, because if what you're saying is it's usually not external factors that are holding people back.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think in the mind of an entrepreneur, a first gen entrepreneur, you've got this big long road ahead of you in building a business. What you're saying is what's happening right here. Your mindset is the thing that can make or break your ability to succeed oftentimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's get into that a little bit more detailed. So what's the most common problem that your solopreneur clients face?
I noticed that it's self-doubt, which leads to overthinking and then procrastination. And largely, Andrew, it's because people get in the habit of comparing themselves to others. Like take LinkedIn, for example. If you're a person who's just starting your journey on LinkedIn and you're following somebody who's been there for a few years, you might lean into, I feel less than that person. They already have everything, or I'm assuming they already have everything that I want. So who am I to think that I can ever succeed in that way? And you start overthinking it, and then you start dress rehearsing the worst case scenario, which totally feeds into procrastination. I'm not going to do it, or I'll do it later. It's probably not going to work out. And another common thread actually is poor communication skills, especially when it comes to sales. So
Okay.
something I work with clients, whether they're solopreneurs or not, and it's something I'm very passionate about, is something called appreciative communication. So it's actually learning how to get off your own map and get onto the other person's map simply through asking questions. So it's learning how to set aside your own need to be right or feel heard, and to trade judgment for curiosity simply by, like I said, getting off your map and onto theirs. It's how you see the world and how they see the world, because every person's map is valid. Their opinions mean something to them, even if you don't agree with them. So there's so many ways that this is actually beneficial. And my favorite bonus part of all of that is to teach people how to ask for what they want and get it.
Oh, now that's an interesting conversation right there too. Yeah, that goes back to what it means to pitch or to be salesy, but aligning yourself. And yeah, there's so for those of you watching this video, Jenny and I have never had a conversation like this. Will be our first ever conversation that was less than 2 hours long, probably. Was that fair, do you think, Jenny?
I know, that's what I was saying to you, that my family would be so happy. Were able to get a message out in 12 seconds or less. I know, but we're both guilty of it. It's not just me.
Oh, no, I take no responsibility whatsoever. So, no, but in all seriousness, at the outset of this question, you mentioned self-doubt, which I think is such a big thing, especially for first-gen entrepreneurs, because you don't know what you don't know. You're kind of just navigating this alone. That's the whole point of this community. But then that comparison that people make when you look on LinkedIn, you look at what other people are doing, it's a very dangerous thing to do. And yet we all do it. Like, it's such a common thing. And so being able to really dissect a person's mindset and help them identify where they're at and start laying the foundation for their path moving forward. I think this is why a personal development coach such as yourself, that's like such a big deal. So,
well, can I drop a little tip?
Yeah, please.
So what if, when you're sitting there and you're following people on LinkedIn and you're assuming they must have loads of clients, or they must be, it must be very expensive to work with them, even if you wanted to work with them. Well, ask yourself, what if the opposite of that is true? What if I'm sitting in an assumption here and I don't know if that's the reality? So what good thing might get to happen if I started asking questions? Ask more questions, find out a little bit more. What's the benefit for me? Maybe by following them and learning from them, I can establish what mistakes they made in the past so I can avoid them. Or by asking the question, what's it going to take to work with you? Or how many different ways can you work with somebody? Because not everybody has like a big program that's going to be thousands and thousands of dollars. You might be able to have one call with this person, learn so much, have so much value from that call. It would totally be worth your investment.
Yeah.
So trade judgment for curiosity there. If you're sitting in assumption, ask yourself, what if the opposite of this is true?
Nice. Trade judgment for curiosity. I like that. That's really good. All right, let's move on to our third and final question then. How do you help clients to overcome their issues?
Here's the short answer to that. One session at a time. So everybody's different, and it's not a one size fits all kind of coaching method. So sometimes, Andrew, what's really needed is a deep dive back to the source of where those stories originated from, which is likely from childhood. We create little stories in our head to make sure that we have love, safety, and belonging. Now, I know that's probably a little bit deep, But think about it this way, even in terms of food, when your parents are saying to you, you have to finish your dinner, and you're like, but I'm really full. And they're like, you can't be full. You didn't eat anything on your plate, or you only ate a little. You have to finish your dinner. And you're like, well, I don't want to get into trouble, but I know that I'm not really hungry, so I better eat my food so I don't get into trouble. And you start changing, the way that you even approach food. You start creating behaviors which form habits. Now, that's just one example. So we get to the root of the source of whatever story that you developed in your head, whether it's feeling less than, or your comparison started when you were very young, or you were trying to live up to your older brother or your older sister or somebody else in your family that seemed to be doing better. We do some healing work on that, and then we re-imprint those limiting beliefs so that you can change your story and move forward on a different path that you're creating by yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And what I'm trying to do right now is kind of summarize, like, okay, my name's Andrew. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm faced with X. I should call Jenny. What would be, how could you sum that up, do you think, like in one sentence?
Oh, in one sentence?
Well, I know that's a curveball question, but
okay. So let's say I'm Andrew, and I'm full of self-doubt that my first gen community is going to work out, which we know isn't true.
Why are you attacking me right now?
It's my nature.
Okay.
Goodness. I've been such a fraud all this time. You thought I was so nice.
All right,
I'm really an attacking coach.
I shouldn't have interrupted. Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. So we would really take a little journey back along the line of time that has been your life to establish what's the youngest version of you that was experiencing self-doubt. And you'll have a memory in your head. It could be your teen years. It could be really, really young, when somebody told you something outside that you couldn't do something, and it planted that little seed. And we do that healing work around that. And then we change the story. We scoop that younger version of yourself up. We re-imprint that belief, and we start to loosen the threads of self-doubt so that you can start moving forward on your own terms. How about that?
I love it. And I love how much that just over and over again applies to entrepreneurs. Like, seriously, the more I do this, the more I realize how much a person's mindset, their upbringing, the way they view themselves can affect the outcome of this business. So getting pointed in the right direction and having a solid foundation to build on can really make a difference over the long term.
Well, it's so true. And like the fact of the matter is, even when it comes to money, Andrew, when you're thinking about money and you're in a scarcity mindset, and you think, I'm never going to have enough, or when I get this many clients, I'll be this happy, or if I get this much work done, I'll have this. But that's a scarcity mindset, because you're already, you're thinking about what you might lose. What you want to shift into is start thinking about what you might gain. What will you gain from this investment or working with this person? What will you gain if you can overcome this self-doubt? What's in it for you?
Right. That's awesome. If we're not careful, we're going to do the thing that we always do and talk forever. So we will stop there. But this has been super helpful. Really appreciate you taking some time out of your day. Jenny indicated that the best way to get in touch with her is just on LinkedIn. So this is her link below, but I will include a link to it inside the post. And of course, you can always send her a DM inside the First Gen community as well. So Jenny, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking time out of your day. All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.